DOC number.
Yes, my name is Anthony Machiavelli. My prison number is 453380.
Let me explain our process to you. First, I'm going to read some information into the record, and then the board is going to conduct a parole interview with you. At the appropriate time, we will allow the participants who've indicated they wish to speak to have their input. We have at least one person speaking in opposition today. This is the case of Anthony Machiavelli, DOC number 453380. Date of birth, 7/22/1962. He's classified as a first felony offender. He has a parole eligibility date of November the 15th of 2021, an adjusted good time date of July 11th, 2032, and a full term date of August the 11th, 2041. He is currently serving a 40-year sentence on the charge of manslaughter and simple escape, having been sentenced on July 30th of 2002. Mr. Machiavelli, is that all accurate?
Yes, sir.
Your case has been assigned to Ms. Wise. She will begin our interview process. Would you please answer any questions she might have?
Good morning.
Good morning.
How's it going?
Nervous, scared.
Yeah. So it should be. Yeah. Is this your first parole hearing ever in your life?
Yes.
Oh, okay. All righty. I do want to wish you an early happy birthday. 27th will be your birthday. How old will you be?
I'll be 60.
You'll be 60. And how long you been in jail? For the record.
Since 1999.
So how long is that? Are you counting?
20, not really, 23 years, I believe.
Okay. All righty. Your crime is very, very concerning. But of course, you can't go back and change the crime. But what was going on in your life that you were out hitchhiking a ride? What was going on? Who are you?
I was really messed up at the time, hooked on drugs, doing heroin. Charlie was a good friend. He would take care of me, put me up when I needed to be put up. We were supposed to spend the 4th of July enjoying fireworks together. You know, we went to Miami, and when we came back, he was a little upset at me for doing drugs when I shouldn't have been doing them. And I laying on the couch, I fell asleep. When I woke up, Charlie was over me with a knife, and being all messed up on drugs, I just grabbed the knife and I stabbed him. And before I realized it, he was on the floor and he was dead. And I didn't know what to do. I was messed up. My life was messed up completely. So I left, and all I could think of is, what did I do? What happened? This is my friend. This is somebody that I've known for a long time. And I just took his life.
Mm-hmm. How old was Mr. Charlie? Approximately. Do you remember how old was he?
Oh, Charlie was in his 60s. He was quite older than I was.
And you were in your what? How old were you?
Oh, I was only in my 30s.
You was in your 30s. Okay. Oh, so you just kind of traveled, and for some reason y'all ain't got acquainted.
Yeah. When I was younger, I was hitchhiking across the United States, and he actually picked me up and was giving me a ride. And he asked me if I had any money, and I told him no. And I think he gave me like a $5 bill and asked me if I was hungry. And we actually started talking. Even though he was an older gentleman, he came like a brother to me, and he always looked out for me. I mean, I could be anywhere in the United States, and if I didn't have nowhere to go, I could call him, and he had friends. He would call somebody and have them come and pick me up. I mean, I miss him. And this, his death was senseless. I should have, this should have never happened, you know?
I thank you for that. I didn't realize the relationship was, was of that caliber. And I appreciate you making those kind comments, about your victim. That's good. Good. I do want to inform you as a part of this process, we reach out to the law enforcement community, and there's opposition that's been expressed to your early release. There's nothing you can do about that. There's some opposition that's been expressed as well. And you are listed as a sex offender. That's right. That's correct. The sex offender. You are a sex offender as well because of you pled guilty in 1999 for sex offense, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Was that a juvenile victim or an adult victim?
Excuse me?
Was the victim a juvenile or an adult?
Oh, no, it was an adult.
Okay, but that state's structure was different from what we do in Louisiana. I will be clear on that. The Department of Corrections indicated that you need opioid substance abuse treatment. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I always need substance abuse treatment. That's never gonna go away. And that's why I was trying to get into this Christian program that's in Faraday, because I don't want to just go out to the streets. I mean, I need to go back into society slowly because I've been away for so long. And I think that's important to continue my rehabilitation and also strive to make me a better person.
So while you're incarcerated, what have you taken for substance abuse treatment? What have you had?
The only treatment that they have here is living in balance, and I've taken living in balance. I've taken several educational programs. I've taken anger management. I took it twice because I enjoyed the program itself, and I got a lot out of it.
And you took living in balance in 2011, I believe.
Yes.
And what about AA?
No, living in balance I took in 2018-19.
Oh, okay. What about AA and NA?
I took that forever. I haven't taken it here because I haven't gotten on no call outs to go here at this facility.
Okay, I got you. So now it shows that you have a small engine in 2018 and your computer tech training in 2019. All of that was in Maine, right?
Correct. Yes.
So have you had any trades since you've been in Louisiana DOC?
No. The only thing I've been doing as far as for myself is the hobby shop, Made Men Club. Was invited to that for the parole program. I actually really enjoyed that. But I've learned many trades while in course. I've learned plumbing, electrical, carpentry, computer technology, small engines.
And so what do you do in your hobby shop box? What is your specialty?
Oh, I like to crochet. I'm the only person here in this facility that crochets.
I understand why you laugh. Okay, I understand why you laugh. Okay. So what kind of things do you make?
Well, I like to make hats and booties and donate them to the hospitals when I can. I just sent the box out to a friend of mine who lives in Minnesota, and she donated a bunch of hats and booties. When I was in Maine, I would crochet hats and booties for kids, Cookie Monster hats and Big Bird and Elmo, stuff like that.
It sounds like you got pretty creative with your crocheting.
Yeah, I just made a dragon. I wish I would have brought it.
Because you didn't submit any pictures with your packet. So tell me about your escape history. What's going on with that?
Oh, stupid, dumb. Just not thinking correctly. Like I said, there's not thinking. There is no excuse for it.
And in terms of your write-ups, it looks like you've had one write-up in 20 years. I think you had two, but one of them was dismissed or whatever. So you just show one write-up in 20 years, and that was something to do with tobacco, right? Tell us about that.
Yeah.
July of last year,
I had
2020.
a package of an envelope of some tobacco, and was going to dry it out in the microwave, and Mr. Smith caught me and wrote me up.
It was smoking tobacco or chewing tobacco?
It was chewing tobacco that was going to be dried out
And used for what?
to smoke.
Okay, that's what I was getting at. And you are a Strive member now. Are you a trustee?
Yeah, not a trustee, just a Strive. I can't become a trustee because of my medical conditions.
Okay, because of the diabetes?
No, I've had a stroke. I use a walker. I just had another stroke just last month. But I got diabetes, Crohn's disease. I've had kidney failure. I was in the hospital last year with a massive infection. I spent the whole month in August last year in the hospital.
I'm sorry to hear that. All right, well, you're doing remarkably well.
Excuse me?
Doing remarkably well. You're doing well.
Well-
Having an condition. So what do you do at the prison now? What is your job?
I don't have a job. I'm no duty status.
Okay, I saw you on Squad 9, but I guess that's since those. Go ahead.
Yeah, the Squad 9, I don't know. It's a no duty work status, I think. I'm not sure.
Oh, me neither. Yeah, that's why I was asking you. I didn't know either. Okay, well, okay. And I do want to show for the record, you do have a low title score. So Warden, what can you tell us about Mr. Anthony?
Yes, ma'am. How you doing?
I'm good, sir.
You hear me well? You hear me,
Yes, ma'am.
John?
Yeah.
Yes, Anthony has received one disciplinary report, since he's been incarcerated. And otherwise that, he's took several programs and everything he's completed. He was enrolled in victim awareness program, but he chose to drop out. But he's already been discussed with that. We've discussed it with him that he's already been enrolled back in that program. So, whatever y'all decision is, I recommend that he completes this program.
All right, thank you, Warden. That's all I have, Chairman.
Thank you.
Thank you. So,
Yes. Are there any detainers on him, Warden, for that rape case?
No, he finished it in 2019. He was in Maine from 2002 until 2019. Then he came back to Louisiana.
we can't hear you, Warden. If you can get closer to that microphone. Thank you.
Sorry, this is records. He has no detainer. He completed those charges in 2019. He was actually in Maine from 2002 until 2019 when he came back to Louisiana. All his charges were run concurrent, so he got all that time towards his charge here.
Thank you
sir.
very much. Yeah. Thank you. Now we'll hear from the opposition. You please unmute your microphone and tell us, thank you. Tell us what you'd like us to know.
I'm going to apologize in advance for reading it because I don't want to get off track, but I've written something that I'm going to read in.
That's quite all right. Thank you.
Good morning. Thank you for this opportunity to speak on behalf of my family. My name is Michelle, and I'm the great niece of Charles Morisco, who was murdered by Anthony Machiavelli. I begin by saying that the family is completely opposed to any early release of this inmate. In July of 2019, this inmate killed my uncle, who was over the age of 65. He was on the run from the police in Maine, where he was charged with 3 counts of rape. Due to the age of my uncle at the time of the homicide, this offense was initially charged as a first-degree murder. It was indicted as a second-degree murder, and both of those charges would have a life sentence. We as a family agreed to the manslaughter plea with the understanding that he would be nearing the age of 80 years old by the time he would be released. My grandmother was in her late 80s, and we felt that the stress of the trial for the murder of her brother would be too much for her to handle. We felt that Mr. Machiavelli had already gotten his break that he deserves with the 40-year sentence. I was also upset to find out that the sexual assault charges that he pled to in Maine and received a 20-year sentence is running concurrently with the manslaughter charges. It's upsetting to know that he's only served 20 years, which is half of his sentence, and is already eligible for parole. We feel that he has served that first 20 years for the sexual offenses, and now he can serve the next 20 for the manslaughter. Otherwise, it would be an insult to allow him to essentially serve 0 time for this offense. My uncle, the victim in this case, was a kind and generous man. He saw Mr. Machiavelli, who was homeless and hustling money at a restaurant. My uncle, out of the kindness of his heart, offered him a place to stay when he fell on hard times, as he did with many people. He wanted him to have a nice warm shower, feed him a nutritious meal, and give him a comfortable place to lay his head for a good night's sleep. My uncle was a good soul. He would have given the shirt off of his back to help people. He lived a simple life, but he tried to help where he could. Not only took his life, but brutally stabbed him to death. He took his car and used his credit cards to supply himself with new clothes and a party at a Florida strip club where he abandoned the car and continued to deplete my uncle's bank account as he traveled across the East Coast. So not only did he cause harm to so many, he took away from this world a very good person. My grandmother, who this is her youngest brother, lived in fear of her life once this happened. He was still on the run. She would sit at her front window, and when we would ask what she was doing, she would tell us that she was on the lookout for the murderer to see if he would show up. Once he was caught, there was some relief, but she always was in fear that he would get out of jail and come find her or one of our family members and hurt them. I beg you to consider our feelings on Mr. Machiavelli's release. And please prevent another family from going through the heartache and torment that this has caused so many of our family members. I know that he has not asked for forgiveness, but today I tell you that I forgive him. I forgive him not for his sake, but for mine. Forgiveness is a funny thing, because the longer we hold on to resentment, it only takes away one's peace. I forgive him today, not because he deserves it, but it is what God tells me to do, to forgive not 7, but 70 times 7 times. So I am a Christian, and I am forgiving you, Mr. Machiavelli. I also want to address the board on behalf of every victim of each crime he has committed. You see, his actions have consequences, not only for him, but for each victim and their families. He asked to be released today because he wants a second chance at life. Well, he has been in and out of jail his entire adult life. He has had many chances to do good and chose to commit other crimes. I ask you today, what has he done differently this time? I look at his journey through his life of crime. His offenses have become more violent each time he offends. I want you to think of everyone he has ever offended and think of their families as you consider granting his parole. Each person in life has decisions to make, to do good or evil, help or harm, to be a positive light or bring negativity into the world, do drugs or walk away clean. He has had every opportunity to make a good mark, and he has always made bad choices. My uncle was a good person and tried to help everyone he could, and he took that positive light and exhausted it. I really hope that this hearing will make him realize that prison may be the best place for him. I know that if he is in prison, the good people of this world are safe from his evilness. I pray that he finds peace in his heart and that he will ask God for forgiveness and continue to stay behind bars where he cannot hurt any other innocent people. Thank you for allowing me to speak on behalf of my family.
Thank you very much, ma'am. We appreciate your comments.
I also have a quick question. I know before we were watching some of the hearings and y'all talked about jobs. Has he ever actually had a job? I know that he with my understanding was that he's a transient. And I'm just curious if he even has any job skills or.
I don't know the answer to that. I will ask him.
Thank you.
Machiavelli, if you would please, what sort of jobs have you had in the past?
I've worked as a carpenter for Mike Mulqueen in the state of Maine. I worked at Margaritas as a dishwasher and a maintenance manager.
Prior to your strokes, what kind of work did you do in prison?
I was a disciplinary clerk for quite a while, plumber, electrician for a little while, carpentry in the wood shop and in the craft room as well. Basically, that was about all the jobs that I had in prison. My biggest responsibility was being a disciplinary advocate for prisoners who got disciplinary write-ups.
Thank you. Mr. Machiavelli, is there anything you'd like to say before the board votes?
Yeah, I would like to say that I have changed my life. The programs I've taken have helped me become a better person. I also am a Christian. I've done several Bible studies throughout the years. Amazing Facts, Emmaus, Walking in His Light, Lamp and Light, Walking in His Steps, the Mailbox Club. Done many, and I still continue to read my Bible every day, pray every day. That's important to me. And I'm glad the family, has forgiven me. I don't know if they received the letter that I wrote, and the board should have a copy of that letter. I don't know if they do or not. But I have changed. I mean, not to change would be meaningless to Charlie. I had to change because he wanted me to change. And it would be remiss of me to say that his memory would be lost if I didn't change. And I had to. It's because of him that I changed.
Thank you very much, Mr. Machiavelli. I appreciate your comments.
Yes, I appreciate your comments as well. I want to thank our speakers today. Very impactful, very meaningful. Thank you for your engagement in this process and what we do here. For me, young man, my vote is to deny. I think you need that opioid treatment before you get out. I like your plan to get on the outside, but I think you need that substance abuse treatment before you're released from DOC. And there's law enforcement opposition, and as you already heard, there's strong victim opposition, and your impact on the victim's family is lasting. That is my vote, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Wise. Mr. Freeman?
I also want to thank the victims for having the courage to come and speak to us today. And I also vote to deny. I think with his long criminal history and the law enforcement opposition and the fact that he received a plea bargain on a brutal murder, 28 stab wounds, I just can't see letting him out at this time. So I vote to deny.
Thank you. Mr. Machiavelli, first off, I'd like to thank the family of the victim who spoke today. Very meaningful and very touching. Appreciate your comments. I can't imagine the pain that y'all have suffered. Mr. Machiavelli, I agree with my colleagues. I think you need a little more work. You've got a bad criminal record. Sometimes our past catches up with us. And, I think a point was well made that you've got a concurrent sentence. And that's the law, and I have no argument with that. but you've actually only served about 55 or 56% of the sentence that you were actually given here. So one of the reasons is I just don't think you've served enough time on this particular crime to be released today. You have done well. You've got some physical issues. I hope those subside. I hope you can do a little better. But I would encourage you to continue to work hard. Your remorse is honest. I believe you. And I'm pleased that the family of the victim has been able to forgive you. I hope that that's meaningful to you. And good luck to you.
Thank you.
Parole denied today. We done? Okay, the time is 11:22. We will be closed out at regular board. Thank you very much, Warden, for your help today.
Thank you all.
Okay, so how do we unpack this? Because for me, this was this was a strange case trying to figure out what the actual truth is, what happened with this case. And it like comes at the end when Mr. Freeman says, this was violent crime. You stabbed him more than 48 times. And it's like with Miss Wise's interview style, you just don't get anything. So it's frustrating. He literally says in this hearing that I woke up. He was standing over me with a knife, and I panicked. And then, Miss Wise was like, "Oh, that's nice. That's great. Okay, okay." What? I mean, you don't say, and you're just wondering, is there, they're partying together? I don't. It's not fair to speculate, but it just seems odd, and the whole story, it's just now, Richard did find quite a lot of information that we'll go over. Unfortunately, it doesn't go into the details of the crime, but what it does shed, which brings more just bizarreness to this, is that while he was serving his sentence for those 3 sexual assaults, he confessed to this murder. And that would make me, who confesses? What are the motives for that? They had no idea that it was him. By this proceeding, so what happened was okay. And that's not even mentioned in this parole hearing. It's just so bizarre. So he initially sought federal habeas relief, challenging this extradition order from a petition to the United States because he only recently got extradited to Louisiana, I think in 2019. So it's because he was serving his sentence in. All right, so in Maine, on August 4th, 1999, in Maine, the Cumberland County grand jury returned 2 indictments charging Machiavelli. It sounds like an evil guy, right? With a total of 3 counts of gross sexual assault. On December 20th, 1999, Machiavelli pled guilty to the charges, and on January 5th, 2000, he was sentenced to concurrent straight 20-year terms of imprisonment. While in execution of these main sentences, Machiavelli confessed to a homicide he had committed in Louisiana in July of 1999. Why did he confess? Was it on his conscience? Was he doing it for attention? Like it's such. There's something else that I picked up in his hearing where when Miss Y, I think it was Miss Wise, asked him, were they juvenile or adult victims? And he said, it was an adult. It didn't say she, didn't say he, it. And again, my first thought was, is he trying to hide his preference? Or is he just doesn't have the ability to call it a human? Like in his mind, is still just an it's an object. When Miss Wise leads interviews and Mr. Wise and Mr. Freeman's the third least favorite of mine. Maybe he's close with Brennan Kelsey, actually. But it has nothing. There's nothing, no comparison to a Miss Jackson interview or Mr. O'Shea interview. Well, Miss Jackson's my favorite. I mean, she really gets in there. Now, the Louisiana authorities learned about Machiavelli's confession in April 2000. Louisiana investigators went to Maine prison to interview him and to obtain prints from him, fingerprints. One of his prints matched a print found at the Louisiana crime scene. On July 26, 2000, a Louisiana grand jury returned an indictment charging Machiavelli with one count of second degree. A warrant was subsequently issued for his arrest. On July 9, 2001, the governor of Louisiana and Maine, Mike Foster, and Angus King entered into an executive agreement pursuant to Article to stand trial, to return Machiavelli to Louisiana to stand trial for the murder. The executive agreement stated that Machiavelli were either acquitted after trial or if the prosecution terminated in any manner other than a death sentence, he was to be returned to Maine. On August 3rd, 2001, Governor King issued a warrant authorizing the arrest and extradition. On August 24, 2001, a fugitive from justice complaint was filed against Machiavelli in the District Court of Rockland on September 14, 2001. After hearing the District Court denied Machiavelli's petition contesting his extradition and thereafter ordering him to be extradited to Louisiana, the docket sheet indicates that Machiavelli did not file a notice of discretion. So I think what we're seeing here is that he escaped. So we do have some information on that. So Richard, there's like a newspaper clipping. There's so much random stuff on this case, but here's the newspaper clipping. But what it reads is, Lafayette Parish Correction Center, a recent escape by a convicted sexual assaultist who was awaiting trial for a 1999 fatal stabbing. Security concerns to be addressed at jail inmates. In the recreation area when Anthony Machiavelli escaped, Newstrom said that the guards will be disciplined and security has been improved in the recreational area, but declined to give specifics. Machiavelli, 40, is awaiting trial in connection with the 1999 stabbing. So it's just bizarre. Again, he confesses, then he finds out that he's going to be extradited and he escapes. And it's like, why did he confess? Anyone else think that he looks really young too? Could be. I don't know if it's, when I first saw him, I thought, this guy looks like he's in his 20s. Especially with all of his ailments, it still looks so young. But maybe it's just me. On July 30th, 2002, pursuant to the plea agreement, pled guilty to manslaughter after information had been filed, pled guilty to escape. He was sentenced to 35 years of hard labor on the manslaughter and to 5 years of hard labor on the escape to be served consecutively. I got to tell you, we've seen a lot of light sentences for escape, and we have seen a couple of big time sentences, but they had like aggravating factors to them. But I would say it's worth it. I mean, your return on investment is there. It's like you're going to spend basically the rest of your life in prison, or you can escape and they add 5 years to it. Ooh, I don't know why they don't throw the book at them, like just to make a point. Even like legislation should allow that. But okay, the amount of money it cost to find an escape prisoner. These 2 Louisiana sentences were to be served concurrently with any other sentence the defendant may be serving in this country. So, of course, concurrent means, oh no, it's consecutive. Okay, I thought it was a concurrent. Oh no, these 2 Louisiana sentences were to be served concurrently with any other sentence. So yeah, and that's what I think the victim said. It's like, they're giving him a blessing there. And again, I don't know why. Someone is facing charges on 3 sexual assaults. He also kills a man, stabs him 48 times, escapes, and you feel the need to make it concurrent? I just don't understand. Louisiana correction official sent a letter with they asked to serve as a detainer to the Maine Department of Corrections. Later that month, he returned to Maine to continue an execution of the Maine sentence. On October 26, 2011, Louisiana correctional officials sent another letter which they asked to serve as an updated detainer and which the state represents was addressed to Maine Department, blah, blah, blah. Then on September 20th, 2019, upon completion of his sentence in Maine, the petitioner was transported from Maine and he challenged the extradition, and they basically told him in the conclusion that based on the foregoing, it is recommended in the instant petition to be denied and dismissed without prejudice. And what chance did he actually think that he was going to get this through? Now, this guy, he forgot to mention one of his jobs, and this is quite interesting because he was painted out to be a kind of transient, but he's not. He seems to be more of there's something up with him, but he doesn't seem to be particularly lazy. He has filed, from what Richard has shown, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I think 8 lawsuits against the DOC, and they're all like pretty ridiculous too. They're like just ridiculous, and you can't be making friends with the wardens when you're doing this. The petition. So here's one where so when he was transported, maybe I wouldn't call this one frivolous, but when he was sent to Louisiana, he claims that they didn't give him his belongings, and then he had his belongings given to a friend, and then I'll put the links in the description if you want to review it. It's just not. And here's another lawsuit where I can't recall what this one was about and scanning through it, but here's another one, and then here's another one. Here he was in 2014. He was classified in medium custody. He was assigned to work in close custody under manager, and he was employed in the plumbing crew. And I was wondering, is he lying about that? No, but he really was. And he was paid $200 a month, which they said was one of the more highly compensated prisoners. And what was it? What was the reason he sued? This might be interesting. Oh, so they claimed that he was trying to disrupt the distribution of medication to prisoners, the close unit, by urging prisoners to slow down as they were released to receive their medications. And he was given a disciplinary report, and I think he sued against that disciplinary report or something. And here's another one where I'm not sure about this one, but here's another one, but there was a really funny one too, where I think he sues him whenever he gets a write-up or something. Here's another one. But he filed a restraining order, from my understanding, against here's one where he sued about amount being paid. It's crazy. I mean, the guy doesn't get bored of suing the prisons. But he filed a restraining order and requested that he have his own cell. And I didn't read the details of the restraining order. Is it against a specific prisoner or against any prisoner? But he actually tried to sue for the right to have his own cell. And I mean, maybe the guy is just nuts. But and there's even more. I'll put all the links in there. But anyways, again, from my understanding, this guy is dangerous, like really dangerous. 3 sexual assaults that we know of. We don't know, is it 3 victims? We don't know. Is it because who cares, right? I mean, Miss Wise isn't going to ask, and off. No, it's just with these type of interviews, I really don't enjoy doing them because they're frustrating. But I do think this guy is scary. He is scary, scary, scary. And glad that he was denied, but who knows, eventually at some point they may grant him. Just think about that. But maybe with his health conditions and whatnot, he'll be at a state where it'll be a little safer. With that, I'll let you go.